Okay guys, this is probably one of the most important swim tips, and it's your head position and what is your neck doing. And so what I tell athletes when they're swimming is that they want to have this perfect postural position where they have a long neck. And when they're swimming in the pool, they keep that long neck when they're looking down, straight down to the black line, as well as when they're turning to breathe. Now what I most commonly see is an athlete can do that looking down, but as soon as they turn to breathe, they lift their chin slightly up and now their neck crinkles up like that. And instead, they need to keep that long neck, and then they need to turn with the chin to the side. So focus on that the next time you swim. Long neck looking down, but specifically keep that long neck when you look to the side. So you guys have all heard of front quadrant swimming. Well, a lot of people, that just does not resonate when we try to explain it to athletes, but what has resonated is a tripwire analogy. And what that means is that you are only going to pull with this front arm once this hand hits an imaginary tripwire. And where is that tripwire? It's right in front of the head. So to demonstrate, I'll demonstrate from the side, is this arm is out in front, reaching or setting up the catch, but it's always in front of your head. And it stays there until this arm comes next to the head and then hits this imaginary tripwire in front of the head. And that's when you pull. Too common we see, especially with new athletes, that they just pull this front arm too soon. So us saying, wait till this hand hits the imaginary tripwire, then you pull, allows for that much better timing in their freestyle stroke. Okay, a common mistake I see from swimmers is that they stop kicking when they breathe. What happens is when they take their breath, their legs stop and then they splay because they're trying to counterbalance that rotation. And so in order to counterbalance the rotation and make sure that they're not over rotating, I always tell athletes they need to kick through the breath. And specifically if they have a hard time with balancing, they're breathing to this left side, really kick down with the right side, which will really help that counterbalance of the body rotation. Finish your stroke. Well, what does that mean? It just means that you want to make sure you're pushing water all the way down to your quad, and we commonly say that your thumb should brush your thigh before exiting out the water. Now, something we commonly see as a mistake is an athlete comes to around their hip and then they immediately think they need to do a high elbow recovery. So at that point, they start to lift their elbow up out of the water, and that they're missing all of this part of their stroke. They're just exiting too soon and losing that little bit of power that they could be getting. So I tell athletes to make sure they push all the way through to where their thumb hits their thigh. When they're exiting out of the water, I actually have them exit with their arms straight before then swinging their arm around in either a straight arm or a high elbow recovery. So finish your stroke and give that a shot. What is the angle which you should be pushing water back so that you in turn can be moving forwards? So an analogy I give my athletes is pretend that you're pulling yourself down the pool with a tightrope. So the angle we're looking for is this angle right here, and it needs to be in line with the left hand's in line with this side of the body, the right hand's in line with the right side of the body. You're never crossing over that central line, nor are you going outside of the shoulder line. So if this is how we're swimming, pretend like you're pulling a tightrope. It's really about the same movement. The difference obviously is make sure you're getting your palm facing back. You can actually, if you had to swim with your head slightly up, you can see your palm facing you, and that will mean that you now have the hand and the forearm pushing water back, which in turn can move you forwards.